Welcome back to Forgotten Working Class. And today I have Dawson with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man.
All right. Where are you calling from?
I am currently calling from Denison, Texas.
Okay. Is it raining there or was raining?
It had been raining for a while. I live in Oklahoma, but I'm a contractor on the lineman side, and I'm currently working down in Texas.
How you like it there?
I like it pretty good, man. Summer's right around the corner, so I'm sure I won't be saying that in a couple months. But
So how often? All right. So you said you're a lineman. How
yes,
long
sir.
have you been a lineman?
Total, I would say about 9 years. I went to family's all in the oil field. Dad, uncles, grandpa, everybody's hardcore strong oil field. But when I was a senior in high school, I was dead set on I'm gonna go to the oil field. My old man was like, absolutely not. He said, I don't want you to have to worry about, getting laid off and everything. So he sent me to a lineman school, and then that's how I kind of got introduced and started into the whole lineman trade straight out of high school.
That's awesome though.
Yeah.
Like your dad pushed that. That's
Yeah, man. Most dads won't. I'm blessed to have a good dad.
that's awesome. So it's something you really didn't think of getting into or really want to get into, but once you got into it, what was it like for you?
So at first it was a culture shock for real, because so I had absolutely zero idea how linemen and line work and all that worked. And the way the school worked is it's in Oklahoma. It's not just a line school. It's kind of like a trade school, if you will. So you'll get like your degree and all that great stuff. But
Oh, okay.
you go into the program, you take all your basics, and you start going that route. And then once you get your basics done, they'll put you in the line program, start teaching you how to climb, introducing you to some of the stuff. And then once you do that, the way it works is you'll do that for a few weeks, then you'll go back out on like internships that they have, paid internships. And then you do that for a span of 2 years. And then once you graduate, you've already built up, most of the time, built up enough contacts from internships that you just immediately start work right after the line school.
Okay, yeah, that's nice.
So it helped me a lot. But as far as starting it, it was definitely scary. You get
Yeah,
thrown into, get your hooks on, climb up that pole, start, that route. And
yeah,
definitely a culture shock for sure. But
yeah, I
it's
bet.
one of the best decisions I could say I've ever made, as far as the people you'll meet, all the stuff. I'm not one to want an office job. I like being out and being
Absolutely.
able to do stuff, and it's awesome, man.
That's that's incredible that, it's something you completely fell in love with that you've never thought about doing.
Yeah.
And then
Ever
once
since
you
my
got into
dad
it, you're like,
always, my dad jokes all the time, because yeah, he says when I was little I climbed on damn near everything, and so it's something that's just, I guess I was meant to do
it worked.
it.
Yeah. So, are you married?
Yes, sir. I'm married. I have a wife and two kids, one daughter and one boy.
All right. Yeah, same here. I got a boy and a girl.
Awesome, man.
That's
I've been
funny.
seeing. I know everyone that's watching's probably already heard, but I've seen your deal. What happened with the? I haven't had a chance to really look into it, but what happened with the incident with, the whole, you said you got electrocuted. Is that what it
I
was?
did. Yep.
Okay.
So, I was an electrician. I wasn't a lineman. None of that. I was actually
Okay.
a miner. So I was working
Gotcha.
in a rock mine, working on a heavy piece of machinery that's mining equipment, and it runs off of 4160. And I was doing maintenance. I don't know how or what happened, but I woke up out of a coma in the hospital,
Wow.
and they said that you were hit with 4,160 volts to the top of the head, where it hit right here, and it came out of the back of my neck. If you watch right here,
Oh,
you see it
wow.
move?
Yeah.
So there's a hole in my
Dude,
skull right there. It's gone.
the good Lord was watching out for you, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody was. So somebody was definitely watching out that day.
That is amazing. No, not amazing it happened, obviously,
No,
but
yeah, I know.
that is amazing you survived, bro. Like,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Yep. It's definitely something that you yeah, you really don't know how I'm still here, It's one of those questions that I should definitely be dead. Like 100% should be dead, but
Right.
I don't know. It all worked out.
Yeah, that is incredible, brother. I started looking at your some of your videos and stuff, and watching all of it. The way that you're honestly, the way you're getting to connect, like you said, even though you weren't a lineman or an electrician or none of that, the way you're getting to connect with, and I like the name, obviously, the forgotten, working class. The way you're getting to connect with people, and this may be like you, this is probably your true calling. I mean, being able to connect with people and share your story, and then you're getting to see, sides of the lineman and all. That's incredible, man.
Yeah, so my wife is the one who started the podcast. She's the one that came up with the idea and the name and everything. And it was to really push me to get me out of a depression. I was in a place where you have a career that you are completely in love with, and
Right,
then this happens, and it's like, hey, you can't ever go back to that job.
right,
And I was completely lost. Like, I had no clue what I was going to do, where I was going to go, how I'm going to make money. You felt really just completely lost. And my wife was like, "Oh, let's do a apparel company." So we did a blue collar apparel company, which that helped. But she was like, "Let's do a podcast." And I was like, I don't know. It's kind of weird, to do a podcast, especially with social media. That was weird to start up and do, to talk to a camera.
right. You didn't know
And
what to
then,
expect at
yeah,
all.
this isn't we're blue collar men to talk to a camera all day. I was like, this is weird. So we ended up doing it, and I fell in love with it. It's amazing to be able to talk to so many men and women that are in so many different trades, and
Right.
to learn about the linemen, the oil rigs, the crane operators, the welders, the iron workers. I've had female iron workers, female oil rig. I mean, it's amazing to see the blue collar community, and that's what makes us feel even better is we're able to give the normal everyday working blue collar man or woman the opportunity to tell their story, say what they do and show the world what they do. And it just helps blue collar get out there more, that we're out here and we're making the world turn,
Absolutely, and
you know?
it's fun. It's funny you say that too because I don't think it gets talked about enough. I mean, especially when I was in school, I would say probably about my senior year, like I said, is when my dad started pushing the lineman deal on me. But I had absolutely zero idea what I was going to do. As far as I was concerned, it was just everybody preaches a 4 year degree
Oh yeah.
college. You go to college and then you hear. I mean, I don't know how everyone's school was, but the majority of mine and my teachers were, if you're going to make any money, you better get you a 4 year degree. You better go to college. You better do this. And I just don't really necessarily agree 100%. You know what I
No,
mean? Blue collar. I mean, I think the way our country is going right now, anyway, I feel like the trades. I mean,
trades are
that's where.
booming.
Yes, absolutely.
I see it, doing this podcast. I see a lot of younger guys starting to get into the trades, and you have a lot of younger guys getting into it, and then you also have a lot of younger guys that don't want to work.
That's true.
That they want to chase the money, but they don't want to do the work
Yep.
for the money. Well,
Yep.
that doesn't work like that.
Nope. You gotta. You gotta work.
Um. So yeah. All right. So you're in Texas now.
Yes, sir.
How long are you away from home, and how long do you get to go back to home?
Okay, so everyone's schedule is different. It kind of depends on how your foreman wants to do it, and the way obviously the line crew consists of, and the way we're doing it. You'll have your foreman, your journeyman, another B lineman is what they call it, and then like operator ground hand. Pretty much what all they can agree on, whether you want to work. Like for instance, before we came down here, the foreman hit us with, well, our options. Do you guys want to work a 8 on, 6 off schedule, or do y'all want to do like a 4-12 schedule? Because that's what we were used to. So we all agreed on 4-12s. So Monday through Thursday will work. We try to obviously get off early on Thursdays as possible because that's, go home day. But I'll usually, the way we're doing it's a Monday through Thursday. I'll head home Thursday and then be home Thursday evening through Sunday. And then Sunday evening, I'll drive back up here because it's such a long drive. And we'll like split an Airbnb. It's the easiest thing for us to do at the moment. But you'll have a lot of guys that'll work that 8 on, six off schedule, or even farther. Out in West Texas, you'll have guys that are doing like a 14 on, seven off, stuff like that. But like I said, it really it benefiting us right now because they're paying good per diem. So 150. So I mean that and Monday through Thursday we're making a decent enough paycheck where we just
Yeah.
we still get that good amount of time at home, and we're also still making some decent money.
Yeah, you're able to put money away.
Exactly.
How long is your drive home?
So I live in southeastern part of Oklahoma, Podo, Oklahoma, small little podunk town, but it's about I don't know, right at 3 hours I would say from where we're working. It's not
Okay.
terrible.
Well, I mean, it's not terrible, but getting off shift and then having to drive 3 hours home, you're like, "Damn, man."
Oh, dude, and sometimes it's been where you have those go home days where it's not exactly how you planned it, and
Yeah.
everything you can think of that can go wrong goes wrong. And then we've had those situations where it's 6 o'clock at night, and you're like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna get home, I'm gonna go to bed," and then that's all there's gonna
Yeah.
entail. And then I'm just off, Friday, Saturday, and boom, I'm going back to work.
Yeah, and
So
then you feel like you didn't even have any time home.
absolutely, and then you're telling the wife, "Well, man, I love you all. It feels like I barely got to spend time with you, but yeah." And then obviously, you have storms too. So
Yes.
being a lineman, I would say that's really hard when it comes to family life. I mean, obviously the money's amazing, it's great, and linemen love storms. Oh, we're gonna be getting those big checks, but at the same time, that's like you were talking about the being home and then the family thing. That's what kind of makes it hard because you may be, let's just say, for instance, it may be 4th of July or some kind of holiday, whatever, and hey, storm hit, hurricane season, storm hit Florida, or hey, there's an ice storm, tornado, we need you. And then
Yeah.
you're leaving from home, heading to your work deal, and then boom, you're on the way. Like there was a few months back, we were already at home and we had a long drive just to get to our trucks. Well, we made the 3 hour drive, got to our trucks, and then drove like another 6 hours all the way to where we had to go on no sleep, and got there at like, I don't know.
God.
I think it was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and then we were up again at like 4:30 or 5, getting ready to work, and then we worked that whole day, and then drove all the way to Mississippi. So it can be drooling, that's for sure.
Yeah. Did you come here for the hurricanes that hit Florida?
Yes, sir. We worked. So last year we worked Helene and Milton back to back. Trying to remember, I think it was Helene that hit first and Milton after, I do believe. But we went to Tennessee. Had gotten our trucks, drove all the way to Tennessee, stopped for the night, and then went all up to Virginia and worked for Virginia for like, I think it was like 2 weeks total, and then went home for one day. We get back. We're on the job, regular job back home. We're still tired, had no sleep, but we wanted to keep the paychecks going and not miss any days. So we're back and we're working. They hit us with, "Hey, sorry you've been home for one day. We need you to go to Florida." Boom, left for Florida and was gone in Florida for like 2 or 3 weeks. I think total I was gone for like, I want to say it was like 48 days, 47 days. It can be hard, but I mean at the same time, it's the career I chose. So
Yeah.
I stick it out the best I can. It's rewarding, but they're like any other blue collar trade. You also have the downside of missing the kids and the family, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, with those hurricanes when they hit, we after that we went out and passed out a bunch of water to all the linemen and donuts and chips and stuff like that.
Awesome, man.
Some of our shirts.
I need to. You say you have merch, you have shirts, gear.
Mhm.
I need to try to look into that and get me one.
Yeah, we got lineman shirts. I got the linemen that hang out of the helicopters.
Awesome. I'm gonna have to look into that and show some of the buddies in my crew. I'll try to help you out, man. Start getting some merch from you.
Yeah, we handed a bunch out. That's why I was asking if you came down here because when we were out after that hurricane, we were talking to like all these different crews, and there was, they're all from all over.
Oh
I
yeah.
remember the whole crew was from Ohio. You
Oh
had
yeah.
guys from Texas. You had guys from, upstate. So that's why I was
But
wondering if you came over here.
yeah, we were, man, but I don't remember. Were y'all on the one on Helene? Was that the one where y'all was passing stuff out, or was y'all down in Florida on Milton passing stuff out?
I don't know. I don't remember which one we did.
I got you.
We live here in South Florida, so we're like right in Palm Beach.
Okay, so yeah, you was okay. I got you.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
It was a good time. Just everything's just ruined around that place.
Oh, yeah.
I will say they did have a tornado. We had a pretty big tornado, which we don't, we don't get these big tornadoes like some states do.
That's how it is in
And
Oklahoma, dude. We get hammered every year.
we get the hurricanes, and they will bring some tornadoes, and it's like, oh, okay, tornado, cool.
Yeah.
Well, this one, it brought 7 tornadoes that touched down in our area, and one of them just destroyed all kinds of shit. And it ripped down on the main road. It ripped down, I don't know, like 2 to 3 miles of power lines.
Man.
And I'll tell you what, man. Within 2 days, them guys had the poles back up, the lines up, and power on. And I was like,
Working
these
them.
guys are a fucking different breed of people. Like,
Dude, they get
that
go
is
man,
impressive.
they get going, especially like you said, when you got a bunch of crews. I mean, I get it, I mean, it's kind of a nuisance when your power's out, and like especially down there. So I was on a hurricane or a hurricane that hit Texas, and I'm sure you've seen all the center point stuff that everybody was upset and all kinds of bad stuff happening down there.
Yeah,
I
I
know
heard about a lot of that. Yeah.
the worst one I think I heard was so I guess some guy had went to one of the crews and gave him a case of water. Well, they didn't know that I guess the water they had not accidentally, like purposely put fentanyl in it, and it ended up putting a bunch of linemen in the hospital.
I
But
don't understand it. I really don't get it. Like,
it's so bad. I get it. The
that's like going
powers
to the doctor and then poisoning your doctor and then be like, "Well, why didn't you fucking work on me?" Because you tried
exactly,
to kill me. That's why.
absolutely, yes. I get it. It's a nuisance, the power being out, but like when you look behind the scenes of all the linemen are really going through to get the power back on, man, I think it would humble a lot of people. We go
Yeah.
through a lot, man.
Yeah, like I don't understand. Like, if your power's out and you're upset about it, why are you going to go and beat up or try to hurt, kill the one person that is going to put the power back on for you?
Yep.
That is the stupidest thing ever. But yeah,
Oh, it
I remember when everything was happening. Me and my wife were talking about it because it was just crazy to like put that in your head. Like, why are they doing this? These are the people that are trying to help them,
right, man. I
and
have
you got
seen
people out there
it.
beating up linemen for no reason, jumping them, and you're like,
Oh yeah.
"Fuck is going on?"
It would blow your damn mind, man. Some of the stuff that I've seen some crazy stuff with the way people, especially not even just storms. So like on your daily jobs, a lot, very common. You'll have to go to a homeowner's house and tell them, hey, we're gonna have to kill your transformer out, or we're gonna kill your power for a little bit in order to, we have to replace your pole like on a daily normal job. And most of the time, people are pretty good. Yeah, yeah, no problem. It's okay. But man, you sometimes you get them people that they go berserk. Well, I've got oxygen, or I've got this or this or my, and then man, and that it can get western real quick. Some of the stuff you deal with.
Jesus, you better be carrying, man. Better be
Yeah,
carrying.
yeah, absolutely. A lot of the
That's
time we do,
wild.
especially on storm. I mean, obviously you're not just going to go around flaunting a pistol,
Yeah,
but a lot of the time, oh, we'll have a little handy piece in a duffel bag or something, for protection.
absolutely. Yeah, especially after that whole situation in Texas, 100% be strapped up real quick.
Right. I do got to ask you though, because I'm curious. You said you live in Florida.
Mhm.
So are y'all the same way in Florida we are with hurricanes here in Oklahoma? Like a lot of the times, you'll get the old tornado warning, and then oh, we're gonna go sit on the porch and watch the.
Man, I'll tell you. So, oh boy. Um, so the last hurricane that hit that brought all those tornadoes, it really shows you like how desensitized that us Floridians are to hurricanes. Is my wife, we're sitting, this is like the next day after this stuff happened, and she was like, "Look at this video that is on Facebook." And it's a guy at the back sliding doors of his house videotaping, and he's like, "Look at that! Look at that tornado coming across the road, and it's just coming straight for his house." And he videotapes. it starts smashing stuff into the windows, into the slider doors, and he didn't budge until like it started to crack the sliding doors, and he was like, "Oh, I guess we should probably go in the room." That's when you thought you should go in the room, not the two by fours flying past the house at 180 miles
Right.
an hour.
Oh, that's too
Yeah,
good.
that's yeah. People have hurricane parties here because power goes out. Everybody gets drunk.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
Just having a ball.
yeah. And then you got the buggies. So when the floods happen, people are driving their buggies or their airboats on the road. They're the
That is
trip.
crazy.
Have you seen the airboats here for the linemen?
What is it?
The airboats for the linemen?
Yes, I've never actually got to be on one, but I've seen several times where there's obviously like one in a bayou or a swamp where they got to take them airboats out there. I would like to do it. That seems like it'd
They're
be a hell of a
huge.
time.
They're huge. They got like twins or three engines on the back. Just massive airboats. I've seen them with buckets on them.
Right.
They're crazy.
That's badass. I would like to do that. That would be freaking sweet. We have track machines, obviously not as cool
I
as an
was
airboat.
just gonna say I had another lineman on here that one of his TikTok videos was he got one of those stuck.
Yep.
And I was talking to him like, "Yo, that thing's pretty badass looking. How'd you get it stuck?"
So
And
funny
yeah, he was
story.
talking about it.
Funny story, kind of like that guy. So same situation. We had a. I was working at a past company, and one of the guys had to use one of the track machines to get to the poles. So he gets this thing buried. And I mean buried all the way. You can't even see the tracks. Well, this dude, it's supposed to rain that night. Well, it ends up being like 6 o'clock at night, and he says, "You know what, guys, we'll just leave it. We'll come back tomorrow." And we're all, telling him like, "Hey, man, it's raining. Like, I think you might want to try. I know it's going to suck and it's going to be
So
late, but we might want to try to get these out." This dude leaves this. We come back the next morning. This thing, the cab, you could barely see. I mean, maybe just a brim of the cab. It took like, so I don't know if you've ever seen like snatch blocks where it's got the big old swivel on it and the winch and all that stuff and to winch it out. We had like two
yeah,
or three of those, two buckets. I mean, it was an all day ordeal trying to get this thing out, man.
damn.
They're nice to have though. I mean, there's a lot of times where you'll have to have stuff like that to get the poles and stuff. And they got little smaller versions too. We call them backyard machines. Just like a really miniature version of that big track machine, and you'll have pads that you put in people's yards, and you'll mat the little bitty track machine into the back of the people's backyard and stuff, and change poles out. It's pretty cool.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you.
Okay.
You said you're married.
Yes, sir.
Does your wife know how dangerous your job is?
So that's actually a really good question. So as far as like, I don't know, as far as actually how dangerous, just 100% honest replying to you, I would say no, she don't. And I try. I mean, obviously, she's gonna see the snaps I send her where I'm in the air and gloves and sleeves and stuff like that. But as far as like if she would be on the job looking into all the stuff that we actually go through, I think it would be one of those things where she would like probably freak out and panic on me and be like, "Oh my God, you go through this every day." But no, I honestly, brother, I don't think she knows exactly how dangerous. She obviously sees plenty of snaps that I send her and hears about all the stories and hears electricity. And I think not generalizing women, but most women, who have linemen that are in the career, they hear electricity and think, oh, it's dangerous. But when you think about all the stuff they go through, then I think they would, her and many others would be like shocked
That's
if they.
it's a question my wife ended up coming up with because when this happened to me, when she got the call from a coworker that I got, you know, electrocuted on the job, she thought they were playing a joke and she hung up on them.
Oh
And she
wow.
was like, "Yeah, okay." And they called her back and was like, "No, he's seriously injured. You need to get up." And she was
Right.
like, "Oh." So she explains that she knew my job was dangerous, but she didn't know the exact dangers that come with it. And now that
Absolutely.
I ask guests, "Hey, does your partner know?"
Right.
And if not, you should take the time to explain some in more detail about your job so that if something, God forbid, ever does happen, they kind of understand how or why.
Absolutely. And you know, you say that too about at first she thought that they were playing a joke, and you know, and some outside looking in, somebody might be like, "Oh my God, you know, how could you just hang up?" But you can't blame her for that because just like
No.
my wife, you know, when I'm just doing phone calls and they'll just being goofy, you know, shout out, you know, I say I love you, my wife, love you too, this that, and then that joking deal, you can't blame her for thinking it's a joke because, like you said, that's just a normal thing. So when they do hear that, you know, that's just a normal. Oh,
Yeah.
you know, they could be joking, and it's because they don't
Yeah.
think about, you know, one wrong move or one, and then boom, you know, it does happen, and you're like, oh my God,
Yep. Yeah, it's exactly it.
right?
You don't realize it that within a split second you could be dead,
Absolutely.
you know.
It's
So yeah,
it's
we
definitely a, and actually not just to you know kiss ass or anything like that. Like that might be something I. It makes you think. That's a good question that she has. It makes me want to be like, okay, maybe I should start trying to
yeah.
explain to her maybe a little bit more about, you know.
Yeah, another one is that like it's same thing is when you get home. I've we've talked to a couple different guests about this one, and every time I talk to somebody about it, it makes sense to me. Is
Okay.
how we go in, you get off shift, you go home, right when you walk in, your old lady's gonna say, "Hey, how was work?" Your first thing is, "That was fine," or "It was good." Yeah, it was
Right.
good. And it's because if it was a shitty day, you don't want to bring up everything that happened and all the bullshit that you had to go through because you
Yep.
don't want to be upset again. But there should be a little bit of that where you explain what happened. So then your significant other understands, like, holy shit, that happened just on a normal day.
I can personally relate to that too, especially here lately. It's kind of been one of them jobs where everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. Just and then
Those are the worst.
oh my gosh, and then you're on the road and you're away from home, and then you call her and you don't want to, you know, have her mad
How's
or
it going?
upset.
Going good.
Exactly.
It's going
You,
real good.
absolutely. You're pissed off and you finally like, thank God I'm off work. Thank God that day's over with. And then, you know, I get back to the Airbnb or whatever, and hey, babe, you know, I love you. I miss you. And then, how was work? And then instead of, oh, let me begin, it's just, it was good. It was all right.
Yes, that's exactly it. You're like, it was fucking fine. I'm done with it. I don't want to talk about it. It's done.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, you know, she's, well, you just don't want to talk to me. And then you're like, babe, if you only understand like what I'm dealing with or what I'm going through.
No clue. No
Yep.
clue.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, I asked that question. Most guys are like, yeah, I don't think that's exactly how it happens. I'm like, yeah, I never realized it either until I
Oh,
started
yeah.
talking about it with others. I'm like, I used to do the same thing all the time. Yeah, it was great. It was a good day. And in all reality, it was like hell. And I was like, ready to, like this close to quitting that day. You're like, yeah, it was a good day. It was
Yeah.
really, I enjoyed it.
That's funny too, because I bet like 90% of the, not even just lineman, but every blue collar trade's probably the same way with like at the, yeah, that
It's
is funny.
100%. Listen, if you found your calling, like hands down, this is the career you fell in love with. If you don't have a love-hate relationship with that job, that is not your career.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because, yeah, 100%. There's no way around it.
No, I'm sorry. If you go in, you're like, this job's amazing every single day. You're lying to yourself.
Yes. You're lying to yourself or something really bad is about to happen.
Exactly. Yeah, it's something bad to get. You are gonna be like, I quit. I'm done. Fuck this job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to do the same thing. I'd come home and be like, God, I fucking hate this place. I hate this job. But every morning I'd wake up and be like, "Man, I can't wait to get to work.
Yeah.
I loved what I
I've,
did, but God, was it stressful."
yeah. I've had situations like that on the weekend where, uh, and I'm sure I know I'm not the only one when I say this. I know my wife will give me hell when she sees this, but you know, you've had the weekend's good, kids are fine, whatever. But you and your old lady, let's just say, have like a knockdown, drag out fight on like a fucking, Saturday or Sunday or something, and you're fixing to head back to work, and then you're on your way, and you're like, "Fuck, I'm actually glad I'm going to work. Maybe I
Yeah.
can." I can get,
I'm gonna sweat my ass off for 14 hours. Fuck all that. I'll go do
yeah.
this.
Oh yeah.
Yep. That's one thing though. If you do fight with your loved one, try to make up before you go to work because you don't know if you're coming home.
Yeah.
No.
I try really hard. We've had some bad ones, and then we've also had some bad ones where I knew work was also going to suck. And even though it sucked, yeah, I know you hate me right now, but I love you. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that and it takes a toll on you when you're at work, especially somebody like you that's sitting up there with that much voltage in your hands.
yeah.
If your mind's somewhere else, you're not paying attention, and like
Right.
we've already said, it just takes a split second and you're not
Yeah.
here.
Especially like you just said in this line of work, you don't have a clear head, and I've had situations like that. I won't act like I'm perfect. No one is. I've had situations where I didn't exactly have the right mind space, and luckily I did have some foremen that were like, "Hey man, I know you're fighting or you got whatever going on. You want to come down? You want someone else to go up and work the pole? You want to do this or that? Trying to take
That's
care of you.
awesome. I started doing public speaking for safety,
Mm-hmm.
and I went and spoke for a company out in Arizona, and they had something on their job site that I have never seen working blue collar. Any trade I've been in, I've never seen it, and they had a full building dedicated to games, TVs, snacks, sodas, couches, lazy
Wow.
boy chairs, and I was like, "Wow, your break room is absolutely baller." I was like, "This is awesome." They're like, "It's
That
not a break room."
that's crazy. Yeah.
So I was like, "Well, what is it?" And it's for if you're mentally not here when you get in here in the morning, you can go into this room and do whatever to do to de-stress yourself to get in the right mindset. And I'm like, they can just sit in here as long as they want. And the guy was like, they can sit in here all day. They're still getting paid. He said, but I would rather have them happy when they finally get back to work and a clear head so it's safe. I was like, that's
Right.
incredible. Like I've
That
never heard a company be like, we'll pay you to sit in there and just get to the where you're ready to work.
right. Yeah.
It's nuts.
That's awesome. That really is, and I think that'll make that our workers probably respect that company even more,
Exactly.
giving it something like that.
Yep. That's what I said. I was like, yeah, you think about that, you're giving the opportunity to take some time for yourself so you're not going to hurt somebody or yourself. And then that employer, you know, he works out in the end because he gets a safe environment, happy
Absolutely.
employees, and then the employee is happy, so it all works out. I think it's a
Absolutely.
great idea.
That honestly, that's outside the box thinking right there. I've never heard that ever.
No, that's why when I seen that, I was like, damn, your break room is something fierce. And they were like, that's not a break room.
Right.
Oh, my bad. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
and I, I'm not gonna dog anybody, but I have had those companies in the past where they don't care
Oh yeah,
about.
no.
Everyone's had them bad companies, and like I've seen it firsthand where there's been guys, especially nowadays, you see it more and more, all the mental health that men struggle with. But uh, I've seen guys that, I mean, they were going through it. And even though the foreman had seen they were going through it, not a care in the world, just not say, "Hey, you okay?" Not, second guessing him before he gets up in the bucket. I mean, just expects him to get up there, and it's crazy. I mean, this is one
It's
of them
not worth it.
careers. Yeah, one of them careers where if you see somebody's going through it, you gotta say something.
Yeah, it's not if you're doing that right now and you go out to that job site and your boss don't give two shits about if you I mean, and I'm talking you're in the state of mind that you obviously should not be up in the air doing anything or
Right.
working on any sort of machinery or anything like that. If your boss doesn't give a shit, that job is definitely not for you. Go find
Ab-
somewhere else. Same trade, just different company because it's not worth your life if they want to rush you into doing
yep.
something that mentally you're not going to be there for it.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's but there's a lot of companies out there that are doing that.
Oh, it's well, and it's getting worse too, because like, so the current, I'm not gonna obviously give the name. I'll get,
Yeah.
yeah. So the current company that I'm working for, one of them, uh, oh, and it's not just the current company. A lot of these companies are starting to give foremen's incentives, like telling them, hey, the more work you get done, you get your bonuses. And so what's happening is not only in line work, because I hear it sometimes in the oil field too. Like Dad, he's been in the oil field for years, and some of the companies that he's been for, they have bonuses as well. Well, bonuses are great. Don't get me wrong; everybody loves money,
Oh yeah.
but when the foreman starts getting to the point where he could give a crap less what's how safety starts happening because of this bonus, you're going to start, you start seeing some pretty shady, and that's where the injuries and everything else
Yeah.
start coming into play.
Yeah. It's not worth it.
No,
Nope. I actually just did a couple weeks ago. I just did another public speaking where the CEO of the company was there, and before I started my speech, he got up and he said, which I even said it afterwards. I said I've never heard an employer say this to his employees. He said, I want to talk about safety, and I want to tell you guys that everybody in this room, there's not one penny, one dime, a dollar, nothing can amount to your life in this room. And he said, so if there's any reason while you're on the job, if you feel unsafe, stop what you're doing because there's nothing worth more than your life in our company. And I was like, dude, you don't
that's
hear that.
that's
The
badass,
companies are looking out for money, and this guy just pretty much told them there ain't nothing worth, and there's nothing worth more than you guys. And that
right?
was great to see.
That is awesome, dude. You don't hear anybody saying stuff like
No.
that anymore.
No, and then, if you're working for somebody like that, you really take pride in that job because your employer is looking out for you.
Absolutely, and that's kind of how I am, man. I've been doing it a while, and then you work with so many bad ones. Obviously, you see good ones too, but you see so many bad ones. Like you just said, when you get a guy like that, or you do get with one of the ones that do value you, that's when you're like, okay, I'm gonna be loyal to this company, or
Exactly.
I'm gonna like bust my ass for them.
Yeah, you're gonna do your best because if they're treating you right, you're gonna do everything you can to make that person happy and stay at that job.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, man, it was awesome having you on here today. Before we wrap this up, is there any advice you want to give anyone getting into the field, any of the younger generation coming into the linemen's? Any advice for that?
Yeah, I would say obviously a bunch of them are probably going to have the question on going to line school because a lot of the old time. I actually made a video about this, but a lot of the old schools people will say line school ain't worth it. All they do is teach you how to climb. Go to line school. You're gonna learn. Like I don't. I hate when they say that because they're like, well, all they do is teach you how to climb. That may be true, but you just learning how to climb is going to put you that much far ahead that when you go to the job and you absolutely have, had no zero anything about it.
Yeah,
So
you're
I would
putting
say for sure go to line school and for sure do your best to try to get a CDL. And that I think that goes a long way.
very true because you have to have a CDL to drive the bucket trucks and stuff, right?
Correct, a Class A CDL.
Yeah, which if you guys don't know, now you do.
Yep. Class A CDL, and I would say for sure try to go to a line school. And then if you can't go to a line school, and you want to immediately just try to get into the trade, you would be surprised, and I don't think a lot of kids know this, so I'll be sure to say it on here. A lot of these young kids would be shocked at how much you would find out about jobs, getting a groundman job. If you'll just go to Facebook, there is 100 different pages, like that. Some of them literally just say lineman jobs or lineman job page or. Uh, this or that, and then you get on those pages, you'll have several comments, several good guys on there that are like, "Hey, this one's hiring. Call this number." So that's another great way you can find out about a
Yeah,
job if you're wanting to get in there, groundman spot or whatever.
that's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't think of that either. I didn't.
Oh man, there's
Something I never
Facebook,
thought of is just going onto Facebook and searching. Yeah,
several of them, man, several good pages on there that may not be someone else's cup of tea, but me and you were just saying, if you're wanting to get in, that's a good way to get your foot in the door.
yeah. I definitely agree with you on going to school though.
Right,
Knowledge is everything. So if you have already some sort of knowledge coming into the trade, you're already here when you would have started here. You
right.
know,
But I do want to
definitely.
give a before I go, I do want to give a shout out. OSUIT. Oklahoma Institute of Technology. It's in Okmulgee. That's where I went to line school. They are an amazing line school. That's where I went, and they do a very good job of making you get internships. They help you get internships and really show you the line work, how it all plays out and stuff. So
Good deal, man. All right, man. It was awesome having you on. It was an
thanks,
honor.
man.
I appreciate you coming on the show.
Appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah. And we'll definitely keep in touch.
All right, thanks, brother. Be good.
All right. Have a good one.